This is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
And welcome to the Geomologist Presents. Just very quickly, Amy and I recorded this in the car. I did my best based on my not so professional knowledge of Audacity and the like to reduce the noise. It definitely sounds like we're in an air chamber and not like we're in a car, like I said. So I apologize if that causes you any consternation, but it's a fun discussion that Amy and I did while we were driving around Dallas and back from Dallas to San Antonio. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. I'm here with Amy.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about solo and dual gaming, also called one-on-one gaming, because Amy likes to game. She didn't always, but she likes to game. She'll play anything. And sometimes I just can't get people together.
Within reason.
And sometimes I just can't get people together, so we decide to play one-on-one. And we played games that are been designed as one-on-one, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how those have diverged from just the as designed one-on-one to something that's expanded, maybe continuing that one-on-one play or getting other players, and then some spontaneous one-on-ones that are not necessarily written for one-on-one or dual play, but that, we just did it because of the circumstance, and will they continue that way? I don't know. So anyway, yeah, thanks for joining me, Amy.
You're welcome.
So, what's the first game that you remember playing one-on-one, a dual game?
Oh, goodness. I'm going to get this wrong, because I'm sure there's ones I can't think of right now, but off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe it was Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, I think it was a Call of Cthulhu in the starter set where you picked up the pre-generated character Keiko Kane.
I know I did some prior to that, but that's the one I think of most.
Yeah, and then that one was called The Paper Chase.
Yes.
So it's an adventure that is designed as a dual game to introduce a keeper and a player to the system and to like a solo play. In the starter set, they also have like a actual solo play adventure, which I ran through. I think Alone Against the Flames was the one, and I enjoyed that one. We'll get to something we tried to adapt that wasn't as enjoyable, but I think we ran that one as a solo game or a dual game.
Right, as written. We didn't really change.
As written, right, and it, like I said, is designed for one-on-one play, and then the idea is then you take that character, add other players to the group, and then you expand upon the other couple adventures that are in the starter set. The other one we tried was Cthulhu Confidential, and that is also designed for one-on-one play, and we ran, I don't remember the exact name of the adventure, but your character was an English bookseller.
Right.
And I thought that one was really well. It's based on the Trail of Cthulhu engine. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
And the cards.
And I remember the gumshoe one we did.
Yeah, that is a gumshoe one.
Okay.
So, so I think what I liked about that one, although I'd say like in the one-on-one solo play, they kind of, for Call of Cthulhu, they push it so that you find all the clues anyway. If you look in the right spots, I think they're changing that now. So I really did enjoy the Cthulhu Confidential system. I guess we just haven't jumped back to it because I think maybe in a way I've been a little too dependent on Roll20. And I think the Trail of Cthulhu, what was cool is we played it sort of live, just like we played the initial Keiko Kane live before Roll20. But I was just thinking, like, since we're doing YouTubes now, I guess we could play it, doesn't matter. I'm going to sneeze, actually. All right, I guess I sneezed. Amy paused it while I sneezed. I don't remember actually what I was saying. Oh, right. So Trail of Cthulhu, like we played it live, right, Amy?
Yes. But that's before we were doing the YouTubes.
So, and like I was saying, I think because it's easy to do Call of Cthulhu 7th edition on the Roll20, I haven't jumped back to Trail of Cthulhu or Gumshoe, although it is. I mean, the Cthulhu Confidential is a variant of the Trail of Cthulhu, and although there is the new Trail of Cthulhu and there's a character sheet available, whatever, I think it'd be more fun to just play as if we were doing a meeting, because it has the cards and all that kind of stuff. So I'll have to figure that out. But I really liked Cthulhu Confidential. There's plenty of other adventures to be had, both by that particular character and some other characters that they introduced for the one-on-one type play for Cthulhu Confidential.
Well, we just revisited back to one-on-one with Andy Holmes when we did the Christmas.
Right, and that was another one that originally started as a one-on-one as designed. So that was Does Love Forgive? And I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember the name of the adventure. I just know it's from the Does Love Forgive publication. But that was designed to be one-on-one, and that's where he introduced Andy Holmes.
And gave him an elaborate backstory. There's one thing about gaming, I like elaborate backstory.
Yeah, Amy does a 24-page backstory. But I give her a hard time that always changes, but it doesn't really change. She just feeds me little bits of it here and there. All right, so that was designed as written, and I think what's kind of neat is in the last, we did Andy Holmes again as a duel. We did Andy Holmes again as a duel, and I'm sorry for the interruptions, and of course you might hear the navigation system because we're recording in the car. Maybe we shouldn't do that, but anyway. So the last adventure we ran was not designed as a duel, but I adapted it as one. And I think what I've done, though, and since we did the same thing with Keiko Kane, is before we had another player jump on board, we did some adventures with just Keiko Kane and a valued sidekick, right? Like a love interest in both cases, actually.
Well, Keiko. And it harkens back to our discussion about love and romance and RPGs, too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has to happen that way.
Yeah, and then Keiko Kane has her...
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 3 toward Mockingbird Lane, Monticello Avenue.
Right. So she has Mickey Harrington, who's a detective in Arkham, and they went on she kind of recruited him to help with an adventure, and he's kind of stayed by her side ever since through several adventures. And then even after we had another player jump in to play your old one of your old college mentors, he's kind of been there along with a few policemen from the force.
And he hasn't gone insane yet.
No, he has not gone permanently insane yet. And it's kind of neat.
I stress the yet.
Yeah.
I'm probably not the best girlfriend for him if he wants to stay sane.
That's probably true. And then with Andy Holmes, he has, if you listen to our most recent YouTube, Hung by the Chimney with Care. Now I realize where that title comes from. That Andy Holmes has his trusty sidekick, Bernadette Fuchs. So, which I think is kind of neat. So would you rather not have a sidekick, or do you like that addition of a sidekick? Does it help? Does it hinder? Does it make it too easy?
Well, I'll put it this way. A sidekick helps. Because sometimes I'm playing solo games
In a half mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 3 toward Mockingbird Lane, Monticello Avenue.
I'm not powerful enough to handle on my own.
Right.
So I need the sidekick, but then when I am strong enough, like in Marvel, I would be strong enough to play on my
Use the
own.
right 2 lanes to take exit 3, then merge onto North Central Expressway.
Yeah, we haven't explored that, but I guess we could do like Jessica Jones or Vampire Jubilee as a solo. Because I did, when I first ran Marvel on the YouTube channel, I did do it as a one-on-one game with BJ Boyd of the Arcane Alienist. And then Amy's character joined there, so...
As a vampire.
Yeah.
In 1,000 feet, use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Mockingbird Lane.
Here's another segment as we're driving down Highway 35 back to San Antonio from Dallas. You can probably hear some of the road noise in the background, but that's okay. We'll try to reduce it as much as possible, but hopefully you can hear Amy and I as we continue to talk in this next segment. In the previous segment, we talked about solo games designed as solo games, but how they've expanded maybe to a multi-person game, and we kind of went over the nature of sidekicks a little bit. So now we're going to talk about, in this segment, games that aren't really designed for one-on-one play, but that are designed for either solo play or multi-person play, and how we've been able to adapt them to one-on-one play.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some, and I think the interesting part of that is sometimes it comes into play because we get a game, we're excited about it, you want to test it out. And so we started as like solo play with me, but so that way you can gauge, okay, if she can handle this alone, that can adapt it for when I'm doing group play with it, whether it's in person or on Roll20 or any of the other ones.
Right, so it's really to gauge the danger, gauge the challenge, and I think it really helps. Now we'll take a step backwards a little bit, because we did try one of the Alone Against the Static. We probably will not spoil it so much. We actually did a YouTube on it that is designed for solo play, so kind of like a choose your own adventure, and we tried to adapt it for one-on-one play.
Well, I think it's written that way, because you can either play as the female counterpart or the male counterpart.
Right, so you can run through it twice using either character, either the male or the female. They are a married couple with their marriage on the rocks. I guess I'll spoil the intro there a little bit. But then
it says it in the game module too.
Yeah, it does say it in the intro to the game module. So then we did run it, and I guess you still made the choices, but I kind of read through the choices. I think that's really all. The only way, that is how we adapted it to one-on-one play.
Yeah, the one-on-one play, which we'll put the link in the description or the show notes, so you can watch the video if you're interested.
Right. So I thought it was okay. I mean, it worked well. I wasn't impressed enough to then. We had an idea that we'd run you through it, then you'd run me through it, but I wasn't impressed enough to run me through it as a character and you as sort of the GM. Though maybe we'll try that, reverse static or static again or something like that in the future. Who knows?
Well, yeah, just for our listeners, this is nothing against the game. It's just once you play it, I mean, how different can it be the other way? So we kind of felt like, yes, in a way it's a choose your own adventure, but it really not, because if you've already run through it the one way, how different can it be? Yeah,
and I guess here's a question for people. If you played any of the Alone Again series, have you replayed them? Are they replayable? Right? So if you fail, or if you don't survive the scenario, I guess one could go back and play it and make different choices. But if you pseudo-survived the scenario or gotten to the end, are you going to play it again? Or if you get to like a satisfying conclusion, whether negative or positive, are you going to play it again? And I guess that's why this one, Alone Against the Static, is interesting, because there's more than one character to play. Although in Alone Against the Flames, when I ran it in the box set, you kind of make your character as you go, which I thought was a great introduction to that. Similarly, one does that in the Pendragon solo, which I did run on this channel, where you kind of make your character and adapt them as you go for the Sword in the Stone campaign.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun. I think you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. It's one of the better ones, and I think RuneQuest has a similar idea in the box set. I know I've actually opened, and we'll probably jump back to this later in the podcast. Magical Kitties Save the Day also has like a solo playthrough to help the keeper, the GM, learn the game and then present it to the players.
Right, which I think is a great use of single player one-on-one. And I know we wanted to try that. I think Mothership has one that we wanted to try that way too, right?
Yeah, but that was going to come in a later segment.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a later segment.
Because in this segment, we're talking about games not really adapted for solo play that we have adapted for, sorry, not for solo play. Games that are not designed for one-on-one play that we've adapted for one-on-one play.
Like One Ring.
Well, that was another thing we're going to talk about a little later, but I guess we'll talk about One Ring now. We did run that as a one-on-one game, but you played kind of like one main and one, again, sidekick type character. Right, so again, like I just said, you played Primula and Drago, I think, Baggins. So the parents of Frodo Baggins. In the One Ring, we kind of just adapted it from the starter set, sort of just doing dual play. So do you feel like it was still one-on-one play because you played two characters, or how do you think that worked?
Well, I've adapted to most of the games I play more than one character, and somewhat that's more enjoyable.
Right, so, I guess there's another one that I just thought of, but we'll get to that too, that you've done that with. So, did you have a main then? In your mind, did you have a main and a sidekick, or you just played both characters kind of independently?
Kind of played both characters independently. Because I felt like the game was more geared towards that style.
Okay.
Instead of one taking center stage and the other kind of being like a sidekick.
Yeah, so I guess it's another adaptation is that one can do is play like two characters while you're just playing one-on-one. And like Amy just said, she played them independently as opposed to in the other sort of one-on-one as the primary focus or the way they're designed, you play like a main character, then NPCs and sidekicks, right? Although, I think in the, going back to the Holmes thing, I did have you roll for the NPC too, so then I would add in little things and snipe here and there.
But not originally.
What do you mean not originally?
When we did the original one-on-one, you ran the NPCs. I only ran Andy.
Right, well that one didn't have, you didn't really have a sidekick at that point in that first adventure.
But it told me to pick a love interest.
Yeah, at the end, but at the end it told you to pick a love interest.
And I did that.
I just had it on the tip of my tongue, the name of the adventure. Love You to Death was the name of that adventure. And again, it's in the Does Love Forgive. There's another adventure in there, but it takes place a little later. And one you can adapt anywhere. The other one is specific for a city, so at least the way it works. Although I guess you could always change it and adapt it to city of your choice, right? Where you're set your campaign, whether it's Chicago or New York or San Francisco or London, or Paris, whatever. Berlin, there's a Berlin supplement for Call of Cthulhu. All right, so how do you think the One Ring went then as a one-on-one play?
I enjoyed it because what I found more fun was I was playing two very different type of characters. I have a character type I tend to play, but then if I have a sidekick or another one that I'm playing kind of tandem like that, I get to explore more things. Like I normally don't pick magical characters because I just don't. I don't know why, but I don't, where they are shooting spells and stuff like that or using other stuff. But I thought there was a male and a female character in here. Well, obviously Frodo's parents. So Dad would do certain things, Mom would do others.
Yeah, none of them were spellcasters, just FYI.
No, not in the One Ring.
No.
But it gave me an opportunity. So if Dad failed at something, sometimes Mom made up for it.
Right. Yeah, and another game we did do that way where you played two characters was Hyperborea. We ran through the rats in the wall scenario. And I feel like that was a main and a sidekick, though. So we won't go into that too much. We played that Amazon
Yes.
warrior or paladin,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had a sidekick who was, I think, the Atlantean Purloiner.
Right.
The pre-gens that are available somewhere in the Hyperborea second edition collection.
Yeah, but it was two different types of characters.
Right.
So in a way, I guess you could say I get to play two different types of characters.
Yeah, and I had you roll for both anyway in that one, so not really NPC sidekick situation. So I guess it just depends, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the other games that we did adapt, though, I think it was just your character solo, and the first one we'll mention is Delta Green.
the poker night.
Yeah, we ran Poker Night for Delta Green, and Amy just played one character, and the other characters just stuff happens to them are just NPCs. And that one definitely, I really didn't feel like I had to adapt it so much, honestly. How do you think it went?
I think it went well. I never did get to play poker.
No, you never get to play poker in that one. That's a minor spoiler, but maybe it's assumed since it is a Delta Green scenario. Yeah, I really didn't change it that much, but mainly I think is Amy played it pretty smart in a way, isolated herself. That was kind of the nature of the character anyway. The character was very introverted into themselves because of the background that was given, so it kind of worked to that character's advantage. I guess if you played a more social character, I mean, things could have gotten different. But I really didn't change the scenario, or maybe because it's like, hey, it's Delta Green, so in a way, it's easier to fail the mission in Delta Green than like a Call of Duty scenario, in my experience.
Yeah, because if you miss it, you miss it.
Right. Although I think what some of the little rules that Delta Green has, which are kind of cool, that if you have a skill above 60 and you gotta find a clue, it's automatic. But I mean, you were rolling well. The dice could have gone either way. Several NPCs were unalived. And your character survived, and then had a really, I thought it was a very satisfying ending. So I don't know. That's from my point of view.
I thought it was satisfying, but I don't want to give it away in case we want to revisit it.
Although I think we recorded that one.
Yes, it's on the tube.
Yeah. So another one that we did that, again, Amy just played solo, and this was pre-YouTube, was Savage World Lost Colony.
Because I got you that game for your birthday, and we wanted to try it out and see what it was like, and it was very fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's Savage World, so it could be swingy if you got the hot hand like Amy typically does with Savage World. Then you ace a lot. But again, I really didn't. I mean, the good thing about Savage Worlds, I feel, is that you can adapt it so you can raise or lower the number of adversaries that you might run into. But I really didn't change like the big bad or the wild card enemy in that game. So I changed like the minion stuff because I think too many minions can overwhelm a solo player in a one-on-one situation. But I didn't really change the big bad. But I think it's because I think usually you fight the big bad one-on-one anyway. Maybe.
Somewhat, but it is a game that I think we could play again, even as solo, and it would be different.
Right. Or continue it. I mean, with that same character, given the advances, and then just run it as a one-on-one game, I think.
But I mean, I think it'd be a lot of fun. Sorry, got a little distracted there. We could definitely run that again, because I think, especially with one-on-one games, you can run through it the first time and then it changes the second time because you'll make different decisions, or you think you're making a better decision and it may end up being a worse decision. All depends, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd run it exact same scenario again. I think it's more interesting to just take off from that previous scenario with that in the background of the character and go forward from there. I don't like generally backtracking or rerunning. I mean, I even have a hard time rerunning games at a con that I've run before. I guess the good thing about it at a con, it's like different people, but sometimes I find it hard. It's like rereading a book. I'm not good at rereading a book either because I know what the outcome's going to be. I don't know. I'm just weird like that.
Well, we're all like that. But I think if we did rerun it again, I don't remember what choices I made in the first place. I'd probably make different ones anyways, because I've grown as a player since we played that.
Yeah, that was kind of a while ago again, before we for promoting our YouTube channel. So, yeah, but in that game, you played like a space cop.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, on a
protecting
space
my
station. So,
trying to protect my ship or something.
yeah,
like that.
and then a prisoner was being transferred there, and you had to make sure the prisoner didn't escape. And there were many attempts to escape, or several attempts made to try to help this bad guy escape. So,
Yeah, so it might be fun to run that one again.
no, I won't run it again. I'll run again that character, but I won't run it that scenario again.
Right. But
Unless
when
we were to run it as a group, but then if you played, you'd have to pretend.
you know which solo one we've run that we've rolled up my character that we still have to run. Anyways, sorry folks, we had to pay attention to the directions, got off there. But no, going back to my character from Call of Cthulhu, she likes to sit on the steps and everything. She was a journalist and she needed to get the story, but I think revisiting that, maybe instead of playing her again, I could tandem it with another sidekick and maybe play it from that viewpoint.
Yeah, I don't quite remember. I will take a guess. We played in a sort of Victorian era Call of Cthulhu, so Gaslight Cthulhu. I thought you played like a medical examiner or an assistant to the medical examiner, or
Right,
you played
but
a journalist.
I thought her sidekick was a journalist.
There wasn't sidekicks. We actually played with two other people in that game. So yeah, what could be done is we could revisit that character and
Have her go-
run a one-on-one game in sort of Cthulhu Gaslight.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Right. So then with that prior knowledge of the experiences that that character had, and then move it forward. I think the other game that we've adapted for one-on-one play, though it can expand also, we attempted a Harn Master game.
Yes.
And
There I was playing 3 characters.
right. And I can't remember the saga of someone something. But
Gunter Green Eye?
yeah, the saga of Gunter Green Eyes, it's a fan-made saga that starts in the Harn world. It starts in Ivinia, and then it ends up going to Harn. You follow this mystery, which is essentially your parents are murdered, and you, the kids, those are the pre-gens that are provided in the saga, try to find it out. And you were mainly playing the middle child. I think it's a middle child, right?
Right. And then there's the older brother and the younger brother.
Right. So that's a kind of neat mix, and it'd be fun to revisit that, whether again as a one-on-one play with the two brothers as sort of major NPCs, or grab other people to play. But what we did do, and I thought it kind of goes back to the premise of testing out the system, see how it works, gauging the danger. We did do a Mouse Ritter where you rolled up a character, and we did kind of highlighted the character creation.
Whiskerton.
Right. We highlighted the character creation, and then we ran through a scenario, which I did adapt again. It was Mouse Ritter or any D&D adjacent type of game. I think it uses the Into the Odd mechanic, or the Into the Odd chassis to run the game. But any kind of game that's kind of old school, it's easy to adapt because there's built in this idea that you're going to get henchmen if you don't have enough people in your party anyway. So that can be adapted pretty readily, and then again the GM can gauge the danger or not, and just run through the scenario with one player character and a bunch of henchmen. That's kind of the way that can work, and that's what we did, right? You had one player character, and then there was a person that you met and say, hey, you want to come join me on this quest to help these mushroom people? So we ran through that scenario, and I thought it worked really well. I really would like to visit Mouse Ritter. I did enjoy the Into the Odd mechanic quite a bit, and that's kind of a fun game to run. Although I proposed it to other players that have played on our channel before, and some aren't interested. So that could be one of those that starts solo, or starts one-on-one, and then goes to a multiplayer format.
Right, which I think is kind of fun to do it that way.
Right. So I don't know if there's any other games that we've done not meant for one-on-one play, but we did adapt it for one-on-one play. I can't think of any other ones that we've done with that. Can you?
I don't know. Give me a second to think about it. I can't think of any other ones. So now we get to talk about Mothership again?
Yes, we should talk about Mothership. I know we played as a group, but we had we had an idea.
Face to face, yeah.
Yeah, we played face to face. We had an idea.
But then I thought it'd be fun to see if we can adapt something like that to one-on-one.
Right.
Because I like playing an android.
Yes, Amy played a creepy android in the first game that we played.
Why did you call her creepy?
Because everyone thought she was creepy. Stacking bodies, being very android-like for the mission. What's the android's agenda? Everyone's always wondering about that. The androids seem to always have hidden agendas. If you read the inspired fiction and inspired media, like in Alien, the Alien franchise, for example, androids are always up to something. Anyway, the cool thing, again, much like Mouse Ritter or other OSR type games or games with that sort of mindset, is you can really do a one-on-one play with Mothership, even though it's a very deadly and tough game, because you have this idea of the contractors, which are what they call henchmen in that game. So you could have a player like Amy's android, and then have a group of NPCs like henchmen.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, it can be pretty challenging. Although, I mean, I honestly researched into that, and I looked on the Reddit, and there are some scenarios that work well and some that don't with one-on-one play. So I'll have to look into that, and then maybe we'll get back to you on something to do with that.
Be fun.
Yeah, another one that you could do, and we made a character for it, is the Traveler game.
Yes, that was interesting. As many of our listeners or viewers know, I am not into making characters, but I guess in this one, you roll for everything?
Yeah, so the Traveler character generation system is a game within a game. It's a game in itself. You kind of map out a whole career, which has been there from the 1977 Traveler onward. And this was for Mongoose Traveler. So Amy made more or less an Aslan envoy that was in the envoy service for her clan for many, many years.
Even though she tried to get out with my man.
And there was at least one term where Amy wanted to have her character muster out, but they were not allowed because of they rolled boxcars on the chance. So they were automatically kept in or something like that. So this character has a ship, has a crew, so it'd be fun to kind of apply the stars with this character, sort of one-on-one. That'd be kind of neat, I think.
It's kind of fun, and it'd be easy enough to, I guess, either hire people to go with her, or I'm not certain how I would do that.
I mean, you might need to hire people, but you have a crew, so you have like I think you can either have a pilot, or you probably would have a pilot, and then an engineer and like a bodyguard or a gunner, something like that, and then you do the rest on the ship as captain, maybe astrogator. So I think you'd have the other, like, already a crew of NPCs, and then hire as you go or as necessary, depending on where the space lanes take you.
That's true.
So we mentioned this one already, but it'd be pretty easy because it works within the fiction, or the inspired fiction. We could definitely run like a Marvel multiverse campaign using one of the characters. Look at Jessica Jones, and then you can have guest appearances of other heroes come in to the thing. Or if you look at the Marvel adaptation on Netflix, that was on Netflix, Jessica Jones was more or less solo for a couple of the seasons, right? So.
Right. And how do you feel about the Renegade ones? Like Transformers, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony type ideas.
I don't know if those. I'd have to like think about and adapt, but I don't know. I don't know if those would necessarily work. It's usually like a team, and again, it would be having to go and look at the adventures and see if they can be adversaries
that
can
way.
adapted and adversaries reduced. Oh, the other one we have, again, that it fits into the sort of model of a character and then can get henchmen or have NPCs around is AD&D, and we actually rolled up an AD&D character as well.
Yes, she's weeding in the winds.
Yeah, so Ranger Druid using the Unearthed Arcana, where you can legally do that, half-elf Ranger Druid, and see how that goes. And I have an idea of the scenario in mind. I just have not jumped to it. And of course, we've had a lot of other games in between.
And the holidays.
And the holidays. So, speaking of which, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
So I think that's it.
I think so too.
I can't think of anything else. But
well, I would like to ask our listeners to please, either call in or write in or comment what single games they've played, whether it's one-on-one or solo.
Right, and maybe they can be adapted. I know, like Twilight 2000 that we play a lot, Walking Dead, actually any of the Free League games, One Ring, 2, they have like a solo mode that one can do. So as a solo, they have their own built-in oracle to determine the outcomes of things. And I've taken a look at them, but I don't know. I'd rather play one-on-one than solo, honestly.
Right. I would think T2K solo, wow, that'd be really difficult. You really have to have allies everywhere in T2K for it to be survivable in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think you're like a lone gunman, lone soldier walking around the wilderness, so maybe that's a possibility. I think you kind of play like a one character, and then you have a cadre of NPCs, whether it's a squad, the rest of your squad mates, or the rest of your vehicle crew. I think that's kind of, so you play like one vehicle or one squad or something like that, and you have these other NPCs with you. I know that Walking Dead can be played strictly solo.
Well, we tried to do it that way, but
we did that initially. We were going to do that initially, but then we had another person come in and was interested in
didn't really want to play
Yeah,
it.
so and maybe we haven't played that one for a while, but maybe we'll jump back into it.
Might have to revisit that one, and we might have to revisit some of our other ones.
Right. Yeah. Again, I can't think of anything else to say. If you want to contact me, you can send me a DM on Discord, or you can send me a SpeakPipe message, gmologist@gmail.com, or write us a message.
Or you can contact us on the YouTube and send us a message.
Yeah, you
as
can
well.
leave comments on the YouTube. These podcasts do go up on the YouTube as well.
And you can send direct messages on
Yeah.
YouTube directly to us as well.
Right.
And if you have suggestions for what games you'd like to see us try as a solo play or, one-on-one,
I want to do solo.
or one-on-one play, because then I can have, pre-gens. We
Yeah.
already talked about the character thing. Then, definitely send them to us, because, we want to play these games, too. They're kind of fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks for listening.
Good night and good rolling.